Gaurani Sai Prabhu, is it very cold where you're at?
Yeah.
Very cold, huh?
Yeah.
Again?
Again.
I don't think someone told me that it's like in the 40s right now in Jagannath Puri.
Yeah. Here also 38, something like that. Very, very warm.
I kind of miss that, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
35.
What to do?
Okay, why don't we go ahead and start? Gauragraganya gana gocha goloruharam Gauranga guritam gopyada kolpa briksham Gopala gada ratidam Yati singha gora govinda deshikavaram satatam namami Hedina bando karunaika sindo Kuru prasadam mahimandamodhe Laksha paradhe bahupapa gadhe Tatpada padme stumatishta krishne Uttama adama kichuna bachila jachiya dileka kola Kahe premananda hemona gauranga hridaya dariya bola Bhaja gauranga kaha gauranga Laha gaurangera namare Jai jana gauranga bhaje Se hoy amara pranare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yashaiva Padambuja Bhakti Labhya, Prema-bhakti-candrika Padama Pumata. Tasmai Jagan Mangala Mangalaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Madgavirapi Gopalam Srikuryat Kripaya Jari Tadaiva Sambhaya Pitva Vishayustat Priya Janaha Shri Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Sasanatana Rupaka Gopala Raghunatha Brajabala Bapahima Vanchakalpatarubhishcha Kripa Sindhu Bhyahivacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Krishna Namamrita Vaishivaktra Chandra Prabhadvasta Tamo Bharaya Gauranga Deva Anucharaya Namo Namah Srila Narotamaya. Again and again, I offer my obeisances unto Srila Narottam Das Thakur. He is indeed a true follower of Lord Gauranga Dev, the nectarian shower of the holy name of Krishna radiating from the moon of his mouth destroys the darkness of ignorance. So again, just a little review, something. We're still on this 8th stanza of the 5th song. This 5th song is called Raganuga Bhakti Riti, or a glimpse into the path of Raganuga Bhakti. It speaks about qualification for Raganuga Bhakti. And we went on this last verse last week, and I think we're going to be on it for another 2 or 3 sessions, probably at least. And so it has a lot of deep purport in it. Some very, very important things. Today, we'll be speaking some very extremely simple things. But when you make a foundation for a building, it's something simple. You start off with cutting the grass. It's not so beautiful. It's not like the outside where you have carvings maybe and different designs and things and windows and different parts of the building. The foundation is a little boring in a sense, but it's extremely important. And that's what we're going to be working on a little bit today. Let's look over this verse again. Yugala charana sevi nirantara e bhavi anuragi taki vasudoi sadade bhavi bhajaha sidadehe pabataha raga patir e se upai. I will constantly desire nirantara e bhave Aniraga Taki Bisudai, I'll constantly desire to serve the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna with loving attachment. Whatever I contemplate during the practice of devotional service, sadhana bhavi bijaha siddhadehi pabe pabataha, will certainly be achieved upon perfection in the spiritual body. Raga patira ese upai. And this is the upai, this is the process or method in the path of attachment. So I fear that these discussions could be controversial in different ways. I want to state at the outset that we're not trying to defeat anyone who comes from a line where they have Siddha Pranali. All that we're doing is trying to analyze the writings of Narottam Das Thakur and the writings of our original 6 Goswamis, as well as, especially today, some different statements in the Puranas and more traditional Vedic literatures to try to understand what is the path for our perfection. And as we spoke in our last section, the path is, there's 2 different processes, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains in his Jaiva Dharma. There's the Bahira Panta, the external path, and the Antaranga Pata, or the internal path. And this is, as far as I know, this is a unique comment from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The external path, we explained a little something in our last session. That, he says, is what was given by Srila Jan Chandra Goswami in his Gaur Govinda Smarana Archana Padati. And it consists of chanting different mantras and sitting and meditating on a process, meditating on our identity in the spiritual world, which is known as Ekadas Bhav. And then he speaks about what is the internal path, and that's the path given by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. That's the path of the holy name. And just to remind you a little bit, we'll look over some of our discussion from our last session. But one is called external, and that word external is not a Sanskrit or Bengali word, it's an external word. And it doesn't sound very nice. When you say something is external, it means that it's not needed, it's peripheral. But in this case, Bahiranga simply means that it was something which is, he came to give for others. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give for others, whereas the internal path was something for himself. And we spoke something about that internal path in our last session, and we want to continue with that for a few more sessions. I'd like to just do a little bit of a review over some of the points that we spoke in our last session. The first is a statement from Srila Prabhupada. This is from a lecture he gave in Bombay on the 9th of January, 1973, and it indicates the importance of this subject matter, because we may have this doubt. Well, I didn't hear about Siddha Pranali when I was in the Bhakti program. Why are you going on about this? What is the necessity for this? I just chant Hare Krishna Prabhu and everything is okay. Yes and no. Prabhupada comments, we must be fixed in our own Rup Swarup, Swarup City. Excuse me. Swarup City means to be engaged in the service of the Lord. That is real mukti. In some of our previous sessions, we spoke from Baladi Vidyabhushan's commentary on Vishnu Sahasranam, where he quotes a verse from the Garuda Purana, which is also quoted by Jiva Goswami in different writings and other acharyas. What is bhajan? Bhajan is bhakti. And bhakti means bhajan. Bhakti means rendering service. That is the most important thing. So we must be fixed in this. We should have some desire for this. This is something that is very bona fide, and this is something very important. We want to aspire for this thing, but we have to do it in the right way. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about this in Bhajan Rahasya in the first chapter, the 10th verse. We spoke about that in our last session. I'm just going to go over a few of the things we spoke about. He says that adhikara na, if you don't have qualification, then labhya siddha deha bhave, if you don't have, and you're trying to meditate on your siddha deha, all that will happen is viparya buddhi. Not such a good translation here. Viparya means the opposite result. Or here it says in the word for word, perverted or reversed. You get the opposite result. Jamme shaktir abhave. Your intelligence becomes bewildered because you don't have the ability to conceive that. And this is why one of the biggest controversies in Gaudiya Vaishnavism is when does Raganuga Bhakti start? Krishna Kum was sharing some beautiful things with me from a class that Mother Shrimati gave this morning about the same point. And she was saying that some people, Srila Prabhupada, first of all, everything he gave us from the very beginning was Raganuga Bhakti. The Tulsi prayer, Shri Radha Govinda Prema Sadayena Vasi, praying to become a Sakhi Manjari. All the different prayers that we have, it's all Raganuga Bhakti. But what he did not give us was Raganuga Sadhana. And sometimes devotees become confused about that. What is Raganuga Sadhana? Does it mean that I stand on my head for 5 minutes while I'm reading Govinda Lilamrita? Or does it mean I chant 64 rounds? What does it mean? Well, all types of sadhana are relative in one sense. Relative in the sense that the guru gives the disciple, the particular individual disciple, so it's extremely individual. He gives a particular disciple, it's very relative, he gives that particular disciple particular instructions. Now, in Kali Yuga, Harinama, Harinama, Harinama Eva Kevalam. The holy name is everything. But depending on the adhikar of the disciple, the guru will give different things. I'll give you one personal example, which I hope is appropriate. My Guru Maharaj gave me worship of Govardhan Shila. He gave me permission, and somebody else had given it to me, and the Guru Maharaj said, yes, you should do. And I spoke with him about the process and how I was going to do the puja, and Guru Maharaj said, yes, this is what you added a few things, subtracted a few things. I was doing that puja on his behalf, which is what we sing every morning in our Gurvashtika prayers. The Sri Vigrahaya Nana Nityanana Shringara Tan Mandira Marjanadu Yuktasya Bhaktams Chani Unjatopi, that Yuktasya Bhaktams, that the guru engages a disciple in a particular way. So I had another god brother who also had Govardhan Shiva, and he also had asked Guru Maharaj how to worship him. And we were staying together, and he was kind of watching me. And after some time, he said, I really like the way you do it. And so he wrote to Guru Maharaj and said, I like the way Madhavananda does it. And Guru Maharaj wrote him back and chastised him. And he said, Madhavananda is doing what I told him, and you should do what I told you. So there's certain things which are relative, and there's some things which are absolute. And that's a very important subject for today. What's absolute is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And you'll find even amongst those paribars or those disciplic lines who practice Siddha Pranali, they're also chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. It's a very, very important thing. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had Siddha Pranali and speaks about it. He also speaks about so much about the holy name. And here he's saying very clearly in Bhajan Rahasya that if someone doesn't have the proper adhikar and they try to meditate on Siddha Pranali, they'll get viparya buddhi, they'll get the wrong process. And as we spoke in our last session, this is what is called kolpana. Kolpana, we know, is one of the nama-parads, kolpana nama-parad, one of the offenses of the holy name. But kolpana, just like in Bhubaneswar, there's a kolpana square. Kolpana means imagination. It's a contemporary word in the Odia and Bengali languages both. So if someone doesn't have the adhikar, in other words, what does a lack of adhikar mean? It means their intelligence is disturbed with material desires. But at the same time, they try to meditate on their siddha deha. Then it's just going to be kalpana. It's just going to be some imagination. It's going to be a construction of your mundane mind and senses. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says viparyaya, that you're going to get the opposite result of that. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about this in a number of different places, as does Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. We spent most of our session, all of our session last week on this. Again in Bhajan Rahasya, he says, Shadakori nam bhaje sadhu kripapana etare viraga nitya swarup bhujya. That if we do nam bhajan under the guidance of Guru, and we do that with Shraddha, with faith, and this is, I think, is a big problem. A lot of devotees, they come to our line and they don't really have faith in the holy name. And as we were speaking in our last session, we were quoting from Fakir Mahaprabhu's Diksha Guru, Kanapriya Goswami, who said a very interesting thing. He used to be called Nampriya Thakur. He was very, very attached to the holy name. He wrote like 5 or 6 books about the holy name. And one of his comments was that just, how many of us think today that, wow, it's really good that I've got oxygen, because if I don't have oxygen, I'm going to die. Or how many of us think that it's really good there's grass, otherwise there's no grass, how are the cows going to give milk? We don't think about those things. We think of them as insignificant. And so as we commented in our last session, sometimes we also think the holy name is insignificant. And the real thing is, man, if you can memorize the entire Nrsimha Kavacha, I did when I was a brahmachari. We were reciting it every day when we were traveling. That's like, you're like on the path of Raghunuga Bhakti, you're like a really advanced devotee because you've managed to memorize this thing. But we don't pay attention to the holy name. So Bhaktivinoda is saying here that Shadakuri Nam Bhaje, we have to have faith in the holy name. And as we mentioned in our last session, some devotees, and these are our friends, these are not enemies. Those devotees who are following the process of Siddha Pranali, we love them because they're chanting the holy name, because they're devotees of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, but they belong to a little different family. They have a little different bhajan pranali. They're not enemies. They're not people we should hate. But sometimes devotees in our line, they come in contact with him and they become bewildered and they think, oh, I didn't get everything. All that I got was the holy name. And so they leave. So Bhaktivinoda is speaking about Siddha Pranali. He says, Shraddha Kore Nam Bhaje Sadhu Kripapana. You have to have firm faith in Nam Bhajan. And if you have firm faith in Nam Bhajan, then you'll get the mercy of Sadhu Guru. And then Itare Viraga Nitya Swarup Bhuja, you'll become renounced to things, you'll develop vairagya, and you'll understand Nitya Swarup Bhujiya. You'll understand your Siddha Swarup. Ihakai Bhali Bhakti Yoga Anutman. This is the last limit of Bhakti Yoga. That when one practices this properly, And he uses the word krama, which we commented on last week, that when we do this sequence, we with faith, we chant the holy name. Ado shraddha tata sadhu. And faith in what? Faith in the holy name and faith in sadhu. And then by chanting the holy name, because we have faith in sadhu, because sadhu gave us this process, then sadhu kripapana, we get the mercy of that sadhu. And then etare viraga nitya swarup bhujya. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, who has Siddha Pranali. He says, this is the krama, this is the sequence. Chant the holy name with faith, and then you get the mercy of the sadhu. And by doing those two things, then you realize your swarup. And then in Harinam Chintamani, he further explains this. Name prasvatita hoy rupa guna karma. From that holy name will blossom prasvatita hoy rupa guna karma. Your form, your qualities, your activities in the spiritual world. Or the double meaning is there, the form, qualities, and pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And then we read from some letters from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati from Prabhupada Patravali. I cut out the Bengali today, and just looking at a couple of the things here, he comments that there are many cases of unscrupulous gurus who artificially force feed these designations, this Ekadas Bhav, our spiritual identity, on unqualified practitioners. But we cannot call this the mark of spiritual perfection. Right? It's just some kalpana. If you have material desires and your senses are engaged in the sense objects, you're not yet qualified for this thing. We're qualified to hear about it. We've been speaking so much about that. We should hear about it. We should know something about it. That's the purpose of our discussion today. But this discussion in and of itself is not raganuga sadhana. Sadhana. He says, those who have achieved the perfection of being fixed in their spiritual identity, Swarup Siddhi, having attained such a realization through internal revelation, and the spiritual master's only involvement through their internal revelation, and the spiritual master's only involvement in these matters is to help the further advancement of a disciple. As a practitioner progresses toward all these things, toward spiritual perfection, all these things revealed naturally within the heart that constantly seeks service. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati describes our system then, that we should constantly pray to the holy name for his mercy. And while we're still in a contaminated state, this is something Mother Shrimati was speaking about this morning, that some devotees, they recommend that instead of going through anartha nibriti, going through some work means that I turn my mind away, I turn my face away from those anarthas, and I embrace artha prabriti. The turning away, some say, is not necessary. All that's required is just jump right into artha prabriti. Both things are required. We have four regulated principles, and Srila Prabhupada spoke about that, and it's important. We have to be conscious of that thing. But as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta once said at Radhakund, our goal is not anartha nibriti. Our goal is artha prabriti. We want to engage in something practical, positive. But Bhaktisiddhanta here is commenting that while we're in a contaminated state, we should not engage in smarna, the Astakali Alila, the eightfold pastimes of the Lord. Rather, when we engage in chanting the holy names, in a natural way, we're engaged in hearing, and the opportunity for remembering is engaged in that. And he says one should not engage in Astakali Alila Smarana on false premises. And he speaks again that there's no point in making a separate effort to artificially remember the Lord's form, qualities, and pastimes, because the Lord and the name are the same. And so he says, when these coverings in our hearts are removed by chanting without offenses, we'll realize this, that all perfections come from the holy name. So I'd like to address this more today. Someone may have doubts about this, because we see, especially we're new kids on the block. When I was a young person, younger, I went to high school. My gosh, I went to 1, 2, 3, I think 5 different high schools. We were traveling, moving around quite a lot. And it was quite a new thing. When you go to a new school, you're the new kid there. And some people come who want to abuse you or bully you. It's a difficult thing. So in a similar way with Gaudiya Vaishnavism, when you're surrounded with your own friends, everything seems just fine. But then you go to downtown Navadvip or you go to Radhakund or something and you start speaking to somebody and they tell you, yeah, you're a nice guy. You know, it's too bad that you're just chanting Hare Krishna because you haven't gotten everything. It's ridiculous. How can we even consider that? I'm chanting the holy name of Krishna. Krishna is everything. So we'd like to speak something about that today and how sometimes devotees, they don't have faith. Because they're a new kid on the block and they see someone else who knows a lot more verses and they know Bengali and they know Sanskrit and maybe they grew up in a Gaudiya Vaishnava family and they have a different process and they're telling us what you're doing is wrong. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he started some new program, which he did start something new and he did a lot of innovative things. And then when we're with this other person, we think, well, this is the real deal. And maybe we've also simultaneously had some bad experience, which is very common, living in the ISKCON institution, and there's some abuse or something going on, and we're sick of, and then we think this is the answer, man. I'm going to become really advanced, and I'm going to go join these guys. Those devotees, there's nothing wrong with them. Those persons staying at Radhakund or practicing Siddha Pranali, again, they're our friends. I personally, anybody who believes in God is my friend, whether they're a Christian, whether they're a Muslim, whether they're whatever. And what to speak of someone who's a Gaudiya Vaishnava, they're my dear friend. But with our Islamic friends, I don't chant namaz with them. I generally don't go to Christian church with my Christian friends. I respect it. And even sometimes I might for Christmas or something go to church with someone. But in general, I have my process. So what is our process? Can we have faith in that? In our last session, we finished off with a verse from the Chaitanya Bhagavat spoken by the Namacharya, Haridas Thakur. Now, Haridas Thakur is someone who is respected by all Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And Haridas Thakur had a very difficult problem one day because some of the local people in his village went and complained to the Chankazi that this guy, he's giving up his Islamic practices and he's just going and chanting Hare Krishna. And so the Chankazi had the guards bring him there, and he told Haridas Thakur, he said that, look, Haridas, I know your grandfather, he and I, we were tight, we were good friends, and this is really bad. Why are you joining up with these Hare Krishna people? You should give it up. Just stop chanting Hare Krishna, and I'll forget all about this. But if you don't stop chanting Hare Krishna, we're going to have to kill you. And Haridas Thakur spoke this thing, very famous verse, which so many Babajis, so many different persons understand in the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It's found in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Haridas Thakur said, Kanda Kanda Deha More, Kanda Kanda Deha More Jaya Jari Pran, Tabu Ami Vadane Nachari Harinam. He said that you may cut my body into so many different pieces, but every one of those pieces is going to keep chanting Hare Krishna. And where? Show me where. This is our question. Generally, if we have a debate, if we have a discussion, there's some difference of opinion. What's required is positive information. You should show something in Shastra. But in this case, I can't show you anything in Shastra. I can't show you anything in Shastra that says that you must have Siddha Pranali. It's just, there's just no statements. There's no statements that Rupa Goswami ever did that, or he advocated. There's no statements that Haridas Thakur ever did that. There's no statements that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ever did that or said others should do it. There's some things which some people kind of screw some purport out of, but it's not clear. But what is crystal clear is the glories of the holy name. Now, let's go through some of that. I'd like to, there's a verse from the Prema-bhakti-candrika Purana, mostly today, Gorni Taipabu says, I would say they're my classmates, but only one or two are my friends. The example of being a new kid in the new school is very good. I'll take it with me. Yeah. So today, mostly, I want to just read a lot of pramanas. And I hope I don't kill everybody, but it's something we need to really reinforce our understanding about this. What are we doing? What is the process for Kali Yuga? Now, here's a verse which is given by Jiva Goswami, and his Sandarbhas also by Sanatana Goswami and Brihad Bhagavatamrita. It's from the Skanda Purana. Madhura Madhura Metamangalanam Mangalanam Sakala Nigama Vali Satvalam Chit Swarupam Sakrid Api Parigitam Shradaya Helayava Briguvara Nada Matam Tadayat Krishna Nama is glorifying the name of Krishna. He says that Madhura Madhura Metan Mangalanam Mangalanam. Of all the sweet things, the holy name is the sweetest. Not Siddha Pranali. He's not speaking that. We're just reading this verse. He's saying of all the auspicious things, the holy name is the most auspicious. He's not speaking anything about Smarana or about Siddha Pranali. Sakala Nigamavali Satphalam Chit Swarupam. This holy name is Sakala Nigamavali. It's the ripened fruit of all the Vedic literatures. Chit Swarupam is completely conscious and spiritual of itself. Chit Swarup. So it's nothing else is required. Sakrid api parigitam shradaya helayava. Whether someone chants shradaya helayava with faith or in a neglectful way, that name will deliver them. Tadayat means to deliver. The holy name will give everything. And this is the conclusion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. So let's just keep going. There's a beautiful verse which is quoted in Hari Bhakti Vilas and also in Rupa Goswami's Laghu Bhagavatamrita, and also in Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's purports in Adi Leela chapter 3, text 79. Gokoti danam grahane kagasya prayaga gangotaka kolpavasaha yagyayutam meru suvarna danam govinda kirtirna samam satam sai. Okay, you want to do some other things. You don't really have faith in the holy name, but you should understand, go koti danam. You have faith in giving charity, giving cows in charity. You may give 10 million cows in charity, and you do it during the grahana, during the eclipse of the sun, which is a very, very auspicious time to give charity. Prayaga gangodaka kolpavasaha. You may live at Prayag in the Ganga for one kolpa. You're just sitting in the water up to your neck. Yagyayutam meru suvarna danam. You may do so many yagyas. You may give in dana and charity a mountain of gold as big as Mount Meru. But Govinda Kirtir Nasamam Satangsa, it doesn't equal even an angsa, even a tiny particle of one name of Govinda. This is the conclusion of Sanatana Goswami and Hari Bhakti Vilas, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Rupa Goswami and Laghu Bhagavatamrita. This is our process. The chanting of the holy name is everything. I don't know of any other descriptions given. But this is Raga Patara Ese Upai. This is what Narottam Das Thakur says is a path of attachment. Everything has been given in these processes. So much so, in the Nrsimha Purana, there's a verse which is quoted in Jaiva Dharma and Hari Bhakti Vilas, and also in Jiva Goswami's Bhakti Sandarbha. We made a whole magazine about this, about the residents of hell being delivered. Yata yata harir nama kirtayanti smanarakaha. Tata tata haro bhakti mudva hanto divam yayu. So you may be yata tat yata yata whatever, you may be in so many different hellish planets. Tata tata haru. But if you chant the holy names of Krishna, you'll get bhakti and you'll go back to the spiritual world. That means you're going to understand your swarup. You can't go to the spiritual world and still be thinking that my name is Siddhahari and everybody likes me because I'm kind of a cute guy and I only eat salad like a rabbit and that's what I do. You can't go to the spiritual. I'm sorry, Prabhuji. They won't let you in. They're going to ask you what is your name in the spiritual world. Well, who is your husband? Who is your father? Hmm? We have to understand this thing. In the Bhagavatam, 9th canto, chapter 4, text 62, there's another similar statement. The Bhagavatam is our topmost pramana. Mucheta yannamanyadete narakopi. That Durvasa Muni said that by chanting the name of Krishna, even a resident of hell is liberated. This is the glories of chanting the holy name, and this is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. Now, we have this question. Some people say that that smarna is very important. Smarna is there, but as Jagannath Das Babaji once commented, smarana means marana. Smarana means remembrance. Marana means death. When you're dead with material things, when you come to the point of anartha nibriti, then you can practice smarana. Otherwise, it's just kalpana. It's just some speculation that you're doing. And this is supported by our Goswamis. Let's look at Brihad Bhagavatamrita. This is the first canto, chapter 1, text 9. Jayati Jayati Nama Nandarupam Murare Viramita Nija Dharma Dhyana Pujadhiyatnam Katamapi Sakridatam Muktidam Praninam Yat Paramamritamekam Jivanam Bhushanam Me. He says, all glories, Jayati Jayati Nama Nanda Rupam Murare. All glories to the Lord's holy name, Krishna's name, which Rupa Murari is the form of the Lord. The holy name is the Lord. Viramita Nija Dharma Dhyana Pujadi Yatnam. If you take, you're chanting the holy name, then all these other things become insignificant. And that person gives them up, their Nija Dharma, their Vanashram Dharma. Who cares about that? You can hear something from Mayendra Prabhu about that. We want to chant the holy name. What is this dhyana, this meditation? Puja adi. Puja means doing some artiks and ceremonies, and adi means etc. I may be doing so many of these different things. Forget it. And you just take shelter of the holy name. That holy name, Muktidam Praninam Yat, that will give me everything. That'll give me liberation. And that liberation, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the Bhagavatam says, Mukti Pade Sadaya Bhak. That someone tatenu kampam susamikshama, someone who tolerates whatever's gone on, whatever comes to them as a result of their own karma, then mukti pade sadaya bhak, liberation becomes their rightful claim. And when Sarvabhauma became converted to the Hare Krishna movement, he didn't feel good about that word mukti, because he was, according to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he was an impersonalist in his previous, before meeting Mahaprabhu. So he crossed out that word mukti and put bhakti instead. And Mahaprabhu told him, no, don't change the Bhagavatam, but mukti means bhakti. It means bhakti. It means you understand. So that holy name, Param Amritam Ekam Jivanam Bhushanam Me, it's the greatest source of happiness, of nectar in my life. It is my life. Ekam Jivanam. It's the only thing. Ekam Jivanam. This is Sanatana Goswami's conclusion, that Ekam Jivanam Bhushanam. This is my only ornament, my only bhushana. This is the only thing I need in my life, is the holy name. The Goswamis don't say anything anywhere about Siddha Pranali. Again, let's look at Rupa Goswami's Pajavali. There's another famous, beautiful verse about the holy name. Brahmandanam koti sankhyadekanam aishvaryam yachchetana vayadamsaha abhirbhutam tan maha krishna nama tanme sadyam sadhanam jivanam cha. Very important verse, packed full of so much purport. The Brahmandanam koti sankhyadekanam, if you do sankhya and you count all the aishvarya, all the opulence in Brahmandanam koti, in tens of millions of universes, if you collect that all together, Yash Chaitana Yivayad Angsaha, that's not even a tiny angsa, a tiny fragment of the glory of Krishna's holy name. And that holy name, Tan Me Sadhyam, Sadhanam, Jivanam Cha. This is Gaudiya Vaishnavism. The holy name is our sadhya. Sadhya means it's our goal. It's our sadhana. Our sadhana is the thing that we perform to achieve our sadhya. And jivanam, it's my life. Or you can translate to mean that it's the life of my sadhana. It's the goal of my life. Jivanam, sadhya jivanam, it's the goal of my life. And sadhanam jivanam, it's the essence of the process of my life. The chanting of the holy names. Nowhere does it say about Siddha Pranali. We're not against that. Some Vaishnavas do that, but the holy name gives everything. In the Hari Bhakti Vilas, Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Sanatana Goswami quote a verse from the Adi Purana, which is also quoted by Bhakti Vinod in Jaiva Dharma. Beautiful verse, if you have any doubts about what we're saying up to now. Nanama sadrisam jnanam. Krishna speaks this to Arjuna. My dear Arjuna, nanama sadrisam jnanam. There's no jnana equal to the holy name. You may think you have to practice jnana, but doing nam bhajan is the best jnana. Nanama sadrisam bratam. You may think I have to do some brata. I'm only going to eat carrots on every Friday so that I can take birth as a bunny rabbit in the spiritual world, or I don't know what you're thinking. You're doing some brata like that. It's not required, Siddha Hari Prabhu. It's not required, that brata. Nanama sadrisam, there's no brata which is equal sadrisa to the holy name. Nanama sadrisam jnanam, there's no meditation equal to the holy name. Nanama sadrisam phalam, there's no fruit, there's no goal equal to the holy name. The holy name is the goal. Nanama sadrisas chago, there's no renunciation equal to the chanting of the holy name. If we just chant the holy name, that's better than being a sannyasi, better than being a brahmachari. That is the best renunciation. Nanama sadrisas samaha, there's nothing equal to the holy name. Nanama sadrisam punyam, there's no punya, pious activity, which is equal to the holy name. Nanama sadrisi gati, there's no goal equal to the holy name. Namaiva parama muktir. There's no mukti, no liberation which is equal to the name. Namaiva paramam gati, parama gati. There's no goal equal to the holy name. Namaiva parama shantir. There's no peacefulness equal to chanting the holy name. Namaiva parama stiti. There's no situation equal to the chanting of the holy name. Namaiva parama bhaktir. The holy name is the topmost bhakti. Namaiva parama mati, it's the topmost thing to think about, the mati. Namaiva parama pritir, the holy name is the highest love. Namaiva parama smriti, the holy name is the topmost thing to think about, the topmost remembrance. Namaiva karanam jantor, there's nothing better than chanting the holy name. Namaiva prabhu evacha. There's no Prabhu, no master equal to the holy name. Namaiva parama radyo. There's no worship equal to the holy name. Namaiva paramo guru. And the holy name is the supreme guru. This is what Hari Bhakti Vilas says. This is what the Puranas say. This is what Shastra repeats again and again and again and again and again. In the Vaishnava Chintamani, it's described about the holy name, that the holy name, Agat Chit Smaranam Vishnu Bhava Sena Sadyate Austaspandina Matena Kirtanam Tu Tatovaram, that the holy name gives everything. It's not that Smaran is bad. Agat Chit Smaranam Vishnu Bhava Agasena Sadyate. If you remember the Lord, then you can become free from your sin. But it takes a lot of work. It's not an easy thing to do. You're staying in the Brooklyn Temple. You're going out in Harinam every day, and the girls on the street don't dress the way that you're supposed to in the Hare Krishna movement. And there's all these billboards and these. My Guru Maharaj, when they came to New York in 1994, I was with him. He wanted a hotel room. He didn't want to stay in the temple for different reasons. And so we got some outside hotel. And it was a nice hotel, big windows. And right outside the window was a huge billboard advertising some sex show. And you got to look at the bottom end of some woman. And we just closed the curtains. Guru Maharaj didn't want to look at that. That's New York. So it's very difficult to remember the Lord. He says, but it's very easy just to do Nam Kirtan. So this process is a superior process. It's superior to remembrance. Remembrance is not wrong. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. Smaranam is there, but it goes in sequence. It begins with Shravan, with hearing from Guru. We hear what is Krishna, who is Krishna, and we hear with some bhav from him. And then after Shravan, then we do Kirtan. Then we do Kirtan ourselves. And then in a natural way, when our heart becomes purified, then Smarana arises. So there's so many different statements about this. So many different things. I'd like to share a few more. We could go on. I'm a little confused because we've got so many other statements I wanted to share. Here's one from the Skanda Purana. This is also found in our Goswami literatures. Mahabhagavata Nityam Kalo Sankirta Keshavam. In the age of Kali, who is a Mahabhagavat, is that person who's always chanting the holy name of Krishna. This is the process which is given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is a process which is given in Shastra. In the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam, in chapter 3, we hear there's a very interesting statement, Atma Bhavam Nayatyanga, that someone who's chanting the holy name, because this verse, in the context of it, is chanting the holy name, if that person is about to die, Krishna comes and reveals to them their Atma Bhav, their eternal spiritual identity. This is a conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam. And if we look at it at 2 verses later, we see the context as being spoken. Kritya Jagato Vishnum Tretayam Yajato Makai Dwarpare Paricharyayam Kalota Dari Kirtanat. This is the process for Kali Yuga. In such a yuga, people did meditation because they lived a long time. They could do that. In Treta Yuga, they were doing yagas and different things. In Dwarpar Yuga, they were doing deity worship and serving the Lord's lotus feet. But all those things are obtained in Kali Yuga just by chanting the holy names of the Lord. This is what our Goswamis have repeatedly stated over and over and over again. So this is mantra. This is another subject matter I'd like to touch on, that the holy name is a mantra. We oftentimes hear that it's the Maha Mantra. This is a statement from the Brahma Purana. Omkaradi samayuktam namaskaranta deepatam tanama sarvatatvanam mantra ityabhidiyate. Mantra ityabhidiyate. This is a mantra. Mantra is a name of the Lord. That's the chief principle, samayuktam. The most important thing of the holy name is that it's the holy of this mantra is that it's a holy name, and it has Omkar preceding it. And then some obeisances are given at the end of it. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, He commented in one lecture in 1930. It was an opening speech that he gave during a theistic exhibition. And he spoke about this Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna. He said that very teaching that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to the world, we received from our Guru in form of mantra. What our Guru gave us is not an ordinary mantra, but a Maha Mantra, that which delivers one from anxiety and excessive intellectual reasoning is called mantra. Ordinary mantras are in the dative case and contain words such as nama, swaha, or swada, etc., while the Maha Mantra is in the vocative case. So, because the Maha Mantra is in the vocative case, there's no need to have words like Namaha. It's not like we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Namaha, or Swaha. It's not required because it's in the vocative case. The holy name is the Maha Mantra. The holy name contains such potency that it can't be found in any other object whatsoever. And the examples given of a Jamil, that's the famous thing. In the Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami speaks of Maharaj Parikshit, the 5th canto, and it's kind of depressing. All the different hellish planets and everything, and what's going to happen to you if you're bad. And he says, well, wow, what hope is it for me? And so then in the 6th canto, he begins to speak to him about the story of a Jamil. And I'd like to share with you a commentary. This is from the 2nd chapter of the 6th canto. In the 19th verse, this is from Jiva Goswami's Krama Sandarbha commentary. He says, Mantra Shabdinatra Namoktihi Mantra Shatata Prabhave Shraddha Dea Pekshat Bhat Ashatutad Anapekshavat Atraiva Mantra Shabdasha Mukhya Britti Ityabi Prayena Gaya. That mantra in this context, speaking about a Jamil, refers to the holy name. And a mantra, it depends on the faith, but the holy name doesn't depend on faith. So this is the Maha Mantra. And when it's speaking about a Jamil, the Bhagavatam uses the word mantra. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami speaks about the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his process, in Adi Lila chapter 7, text 73 to 74, he speaks in a very succinct way why the Maha Mantra is more important than any other mantra. Krishna mantra hoite habe samsara mochana. That by chanting Krishna mantra, you can get samsara mochana, you can become liberated. And Krishna nama hoite pabi, Krishna racharana. By chanting Krishna's names, and you'll be able to see the lotus feet of the Lord. Nama vinu kali kali nahi ara dharma sarva mantra sara nama e shastra marma. And this is the conclusion of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who all Gaudiya Vaishnavas respect. Nama vinu kali kali nahi ara dharma. In the age of Kali, there is no other dharma. He doesn't speak of any other dharma. He doesn't speak about smaranam. He doesn't speak about siddha pranali. Sarva mantra saranama, all different mantras. The essence of all of them is the holy name. E shastra marma. This is the purport of all different shastras. This is a conclusion of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And it's a conclusion in many, many different Vedic literatures which speak about Kali Yuga. Let's look at a few of those. I told you we were going to have a lot of verses today. Brahmanda Purana states, Sahasranam nam punyanam tri avrityatu yat phalam eka vrityatu Krishna shanam aika tat prayachati. That if you chant 1,000 names of Vishnu, and you do that 3 times, then you get the result of chanting one name of Krishna. This is the name of Krishna that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought us. And why is that name of Krishna so super excellent? The Padma Purana and the Patalakanda, in the section that Mata Mahatmya describes, Tarakaj Jayate Mukti Prema-bhakti-candrika 5.9 that all the names of Vishnu, Tarakaj Jayate Mukti, they all give liberation. But Krishna's name gives prema. It gives Krishna prema. It gives something more, it gives something extra. It's not, nothing else is required. And that's why the Bhagavatam says, Krishna Vanam Tusha, Krishnam Sango Pangashta Parshadam, Yagyai Sankirtana Prayajanti Hi Sumeda, so that people who have sufficient intelligence, they chant the holy name, they worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Yagyai Sankirtana Prayar. This is the process the Bhagavatam recommends. This is the process our Goswamis recommend. This is our everything. It's the best mantra. It's the best remembrance. It's the best of everything. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this regard quoted the Kali Santara Upanishad. Kali Santara Upanishad literally means knowledge of how to cross over the age of Kali. It's the only Upanishad that gives the entire Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It's not very considered to be one of the main Upanishads. It's very short. It has about 13 shlokas to it. It is part of the Krishna Yajurveda, and it's described as part of the Muktika canon. So at the end of Dwapara Yuga, there's a story behind it. Narad Muni once approached his father, Lord Brahma, and asked him, what can we do to overcome the problems in Kali Yuga, which are coming up? And in reply, Brahma spoke to him this Kali Santara Upanishad. And he said that just by chanting the name of Lord Narayan, one can cross over easily. And so then Narad Muni says, yeah, well, tell me please exactly what should we chant? And at that time, in the Kali Santara Upanishad, Lord Brahma speaks to his son the following verses. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Iti Sodasakam Nam, Kali Kalmasanasanam Nata Parataropaya, Sarva Vedi Shudrishyate. This is quoted many times by different Gaudiya Vaishnavas. You chant these 16 names as Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Iti Sodasakam Namnam, and Kali Kalmasa Nasanam. It'll destroy all the terrible effects of the age of Kali. Nata Paratarupaya. You won't find in this age anything better than the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. This is our Goswamis, this is our Acharyas. In the Nanta Sanghita, there's it corroborates also the Shruti evidence from the Kali Santara Upanishad, and it also describes the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. I'll show you here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sosadaistani namani, dvam Sri Sadvanakani hi, Kalo Yuge Maha Mantra Samato Jiva Tarane, Tadakam Brahmanama Itad Brahmana Gurunadina, Kali Santaranadyasu Shutis Adigatam Hare Praptam Shri Brahmasishyena Srinadadena Dimata Namaitad Uttamashrota Paramparyena Brahmanaha. He says that all the Shastras say this, that this in Kali Yuga, Tarakam Brahmanam, this is the Taraka Brahmanam. This is the thing which is going to deliver you. Lord Brahma spoke this. He gave this in the Kali Santara Upanishad. And Narad Muni, he heard this thing from the greatest authority, Lord Brahma, who's the head of our Sampradaya. In the Sanat Kumar Sanghita, the Hare Krishna mantra is given. Jan Chandra Goswami, and I'm going to kind of run through a few things now because our time's getting later than I wanted. Jan Chandra Goswami, in his Gorgovinda Smaranarchana Padati, he quotes a verse from the Padma Purana. What's that verse? Dvatrim sadaksharam mantram nama sadosa kanvitam prajapan vaishnavo nityam radha krishna stalam labet. That someone who's constantly chanting this mantra of the name, the 16 names, this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, of 32 syllables, they'll definitely achieve the abode of Radha Krishna. So this is a statement of Srila Jan Chandra Goswami. This is a statement of our Goswamis again and again and again. Nayananda Thakur, he quotes the Brahmanda Purana in his book Krishna Bhakti Rasa Kadamba. He gives a Maha Mantra there. The Agni Purana gives a Maha Mantra in two different places. There's a book called the Radha Hridaya, which is kind of a bit of a tantric book, and is said to be part of the Brahmanda Purana. I've had a hard time finding it, so I've managed to find some translations from it. But it's not found in most editions of the Brahmanda Purana. But it mentions the entire Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And there's in the 6th chapter of the Radha Hridaya, there's a conversation between Maharaj Vrishabhanu and a rishi named Kratu Muni. And the king, after Maharaj Vrishabhanu, after doing penances for so many years, he hears a celestial voice that tells him that he should chant the names of Krishna. So then he asks, what exact names should I chant? And then the demigoddess sends him to the sage, and the voice says, you should go to this Kratu Muni. And he lives nearby. So he went to this Kratu Muni and asked him for Harinam. And at that time, there was another sage, Lomaharshan Sutta. He interrupted and he requested him that you please speak this mantra given by Kratu to Vrishabhanu. He says, Yatvaya krititam nata harinameti samnitam mantra brahmapadam siddhikaram tadvadona vivu. That you're telling about this mantra. What mantra is this? And then Veda Vyas in Radha Hridaya gives this mantra. First of all, he says, Grahanad Yasha Mantrasha. I'm going to give this to you. Grahana means to take, give. Dehi Brahmamayo Bhavet. I'm going to give you this topmost mantra, such a powerful mantra, Sadhyaputa Surup, that even if someone's a drunkard, if they chant this thing, Sarva Siddhi Yuto Bhavet, they can get all perfection. This is why, Jai Gaur, you go out on the subway, you go out on the streets and chant the holy name. There's so many drunkards and people. And this is why we used to do Harinam in Los Angeles on Halloween night. And you'd see all these drunken kids coming out and chanting Hare Krishna, just laughing and laughing. It's ecstatic. And we may think, I don't want to be around these drunks, but it's such a good thing. They're chanting the holy name. And what is that mantra? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ityasya satakam nam tri kala kamasapyaham. Nata para tayo paya sarvavedi suvidyate. If you chant this mantra 108 times a day, chant one round a day, it destroys all sins in Kali Yuga. And you won't find a better process for liberation from material existence. This is a statement of Radha Hridaya. In the Brahma Yamala Agama, Lord Shiva also gives a Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Many different places. In the Radha Tantra, there's a Vasudeva, Mahatma Vasudeva tells Tripurari Devi that you please, what is the Maha Mantra? And Tripura Devi, she tells him, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This Hare Krishna mantra is everything. We should have faith in this. Let me show you this final verse here, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up now. Dvatrim sat aksharanyevam kalo namani sarvada shrinu chanda sutta shrestha harinam sadaivahi. These 32 syllables of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, kalo namani sarvada, they can deliver everyone in Kali Yuga. And so then she begins to speak about the glories of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So this is our process. We should just have faith in this process. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in Bhajan Rahasya, there's a krama, there's a sequence. And if we have faith in the holy name, and we chant this holy name for the pleasure of sadhu guru, then we please them and we get their blessings. And from those blessings, we'll get understanding of what is our siddha deha. So I'm going to finish on looking at the verse again. Phew, feel like I just ran I skipped over a bunch of verses because we just didn't have time. I didn't want to kill everybody. Yugala Chavana Sevi Nidantara E Bhavi Anuragi Taki Basudoi Sadane Bhaviba Jaha Siddha Dehe Pabataha Raga Patara E Se Upai. I will constantly desire to serve the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna with loving attachment. Whatever I contemplate during the practice of devotional service will certainly be achieved upon perfection in the spiritual body. This is a method on the path of attachment. So these are a few thoughts about our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition coming directly from our six Goswamis, directly from Srimad Bhagavatam, directly from different Puranas and Vedic literatures, which all confirm repeatedly again and again and again the same thing. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam kalo nasteva nastevan gatiranyata. That the holy name is everything. It gives everything. There's nothing else that's required. But the problem is we don't have faith in that holy name. And sometimes we want some extra thing. And therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says this is a Bahirangapata, the external path. For persons who are not so internal, who don't really have faith in the holy name, then they think something about Siddhadeha. They go and they get a new toy from someone at Radhakund or something, and they get their Ekadas Bhav, their 11 different things to meditate on. And that's fine. We don't, that's a sadhana given by great Vaishnavas. We respect that. But our path, given by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and described by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is the internal path as given by Raghunath Das Goswami. And that's we simply take shelter of the holy name. So I'm going to stop here. I just want to mention something about our next session. I think we're going to have at least 2 more sessions about this. It's a very important subject we should understand very, very clearly without any doubt. We want to destroy all doubts that the chanting Hare Krishna will give us everything, will give us our Siddha Deha. So how does that work? We're going to speak something about the process in our next couple sessions. And the next session, we'll speak something about the holy name and the connection with Gurudev and how that gives us a realization of our Siddha Deha. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. There's a few comments. We'll read those first. And devotees have any comments or anything. Vidarbha Sutta said, thank you so much for a wonderful session. I just landed in India and jet lag. I'll leave now, but my deepest gratitude for these sessions to develop a deep faith in the holy names of Krishna. Thank you. That makes me very, very happy. The holy name is everything. It gives us everything. And if somebody says the holy name doesn't give them everything, I don't want to see their face. The Nam is everything. We don't need Varnashram Dharma. You don't need yagas. You don't need austerities. You don't need smarana. The holy name will give all those things automatically. Siddha Hari Prabhu has his hand raised. He also made some comment too. Siddha, do you want to share some thought with us?
Sure, Prabhu, thank you. Really grateful to you for sharing so much pramana and so many sweet verses in glorification of the holy name. Apart from that Kali Shnanta Upanishad verse, I didn't know any of the other verses which supported the holy name. You know, many times people question is where do we get the holy name from? And there's a few verses in Chaitanya Bhagavat and the other one, the Upanishad verse. But thank you for sharing all this. I would like to go back to the presentation later and record it, save the verses for myself for later. Thank you.
If
A
somebody
question which I had.
reminds me, I'll be happy to share these also in our chat.
Okay, thank you. That'd be great, Prabhu.
These are important.
I'm quite surprised. Have you never made like any magazine or Bindu about just the holy name? Because you have a lot of good collections, Prabhu.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these, I've taken these from different places, some from our Goswami literatures, but a lot of the work was done by a friend of mine, Bij Basi Prabhu. He wrote a beautiful book about the holy name, and he collected so many different pramanas and things. I'm very, very grateful to him for this work. We did our first, I think it was our second, well, our very first issue of the Bindu spoke some about the holy name. First 2 or 3 issues, really. But we haven't really focused on it so much like we have some other topics in the last year or so. I'd love to do that. That would be really good. And maybe we could include some of these verses and things. It would be a big Bindu.
Yeah. A question which I had was, I was remembering in Embankment of Separation, there's a chapter where His Holiness Gaudiya Vaishnava Maharaj talks about that the holy name which we are receiving in Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara is not an ordinary holy name. This is a holy name which is enwrapped in around the, it's a garland which is of the holy name, and the prema, which is wrapped together in the form of a garland, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is garlanding the whole world with. And so I was wondering, can you please share something on that too? Because it's not just ordinary holy name which is available in the Purana. This is very special holy name which is imbued with Guruna, with the love coming from the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, from Radharani's heart. Can you please share something more on that?
Yeah. Actually, first of all, let me say that I put a link in our chat the other day because a few days ago on Monday, I gave a session just exactly about that chapter from Embankment of Separation.
Wow.
We spoke about the holy name and prema, and we gave so many different pramanas about it. And the whole session, I think, was about 1 hour. So I don't want to answer your question with 1 hour. But suffice to say that the holy name, Mahaprabhu's process is a very astonishing thing because he is Krishna. And the holy name is Krishna. It's Abhinatvanama. There's no difference between Krishna and the holy name. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna coming and chanting his own name, giving his own name, and he's crying at the same time. There's something extra there with the holy name. And that Hare Krishna mantra was already there in Shastra. We established in the Agni Purana in many different places. The holy name, the Hare Krishna mantra, full Hare Krishna mantra is given many different places. But what's the difference then with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's kirtan? It's Premanam Sankirtan, because Radha Baba Duti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Surupam. He's Krishna, come to chant Krishna's name, but he's doing it in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And he's giving that mood of Srimati Radharani. He's giving us that service of chanting the holy names as a service to serve Srimati Radharani. And that's something we spoke about at length on Monday. And we gave some pramanas and a beautiful song about that, which I also shared in our chat. Vikram Kesha Prabhu was asking me for that song. You can see that there. Is that helpful?
Yes, Prabhu. I'm going to go back and watch that lecture now because topic which is very much close to my heart. How did Mahaprabhu did that? It's a beautiful section and beautiful description by Maharaj and you. Thank you, Prabhu.
It's really wonderful. I have a question for Jai Gaur. How are you guys doing Harinam now without Siddha Hari Prabhu? I would think you guys would just quit everything, just close the show down if he's not there.
I was a lowly book distributor. All this time it was Jai Gaur who was doing the Harinam.
In one sense, it's actually improved
No
bhajan because we have the ability to cry in separation from Siddha Hari Prabhu.
I was wondering what that picture was next to the harmonium there. You couldn't see it. That must be a picture of Siddha Hari Prabhu, huh?
Oh, yeah.
They give some solace to the devotees there. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you. Gauri Thai Prabhu, it's getting late where you're at. Do you have anything you want to share? I see your hands up.
Hare Krishna, yes, thank you. I'm thinking in one question. So I'm very new in this bhakti yoga process, so maybe you forgive me. Yeah, about the grammar, how devotees are communicating and trying to convince me that chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare is nothing else, just calling someone. And then they're using the expression of holy name. But in other times, they say holy names. So this holy name have 3 names. And then they start to explain me different translations that what does it mean, Krishna? And they divide it, Krishna to Krishna, no. And then when I chant the holy name means one name, I should keep it like a one name. My mind is just fall apart. And I cannot concentrate on one mood, one name, because many other informations are disturbing me. So what should I do?
Well, as we'll speak in our next session, and you guys have all heard me so over and over again, Tate Krishna Bhaji Kori Guru Sevan. We should do our Krishna bhajan for the pleasure of our Gurudev. This is what Bhakti Vinod is speaking about in Bhajan Rahasya. And if we do that, then we have some ruchi for it. Then it's natural way to remember the holy name. Everything is natural in that sense. And when we try to meditate just on Krishna, we read Govinda Lilamrita or something, which is a nice, wonderful book. It's such a wonderful poetry and things in it, beautiful descriptions of Radha Krishna. We should know about that. But if we read that without chanting, then we may speculate so many things. We need something to give us some realization. So the chanting is there, and as Jagadananda Pandit says in Prema-bhakti-candrika, Sadhu Sangha Krishna Nam Emata Chai. All that I require is these two things, not one, but two. The holy name and Sadhu Sangha. Because by chanting the holy name, I'm doing, these two things are connected together. I got the holy name from Sadhu. And then by chanting the holy name, I please Sadhu. And by pleasing Sadhu, I get a deeper connection of the holy name, a deeper understanding. So we want to hear from Sadhu, and Sadhu will speak to us Anvaya Vratirekabyam Yatshat Sarvata Sarvada. Directly or indirectly, everything he'll speak about is the holy name. Indirectly, he'll speak something about how Krishna is the son of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, and he's a beloved of the gopis and the most worshipable, beloved resident of Vrindavan. And when we hear that, that gives us some understanding of Krishna Nam. It's indirectly helping us. And more directly, we may read Jan Chandra Goswami's commentary on the Hare Krishna mantra, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary, Raghunath Das Goswami's commentary, Jiva Goswami's commentary. They've all given different commentaries on the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Some years ago in the house of Jai Gaur Prabhu, we gave classes on those different meanings, of different commentaries on the Maha Mantra. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given 2 different commentaries on the Maha Mantra. It's not required that we, while we're chanting, we should also read that commentary, but we should have some understanding about that, which may come in the back of our head. It's like programming a computer. We gave this example last week when we were staying at Leela Purushottam Prabhu's place, that it's like a computer. The computer, you buy a computer, there's nothing, the hard drive's empty. You have to put some information on the hard drive. You have to give it some software and things. So we have to put something into the computer of our mind and our consciousness. And the way to begin doing that, a process of Raghunuga Bhakti, is begin doing it by having a loving relationship with a Vaishnava, with a person we want to please. And that person says, you chant Hare Krishna, and that Krishna is the son of Nanda Maharaj and the mother Yashoda, and he's the beloved of the gopis. And we hear those things, then we have something which comes to our heart when we do that as a service for that sadhu. Is that helpful, Gaunitai Prabhu?
Yes, in one sense helpful. In other sense, still, your spiritual master Govinda Maharaj mentioning in this Prema Nama-bhajana that when someone is chanting, there are 10 offenses, and still when they are trying to avoid these offenses, still that distraction remains like one long-term offenses. So, I mean, if I try to put these 16 names in one name, and I try to call that one person, it still distract me with so many other information. So how to avoid them, but still keep them?
Well, it's just like, we know you as Gaunitai Das Prabhu, but we may, speak with your mother and tell you, your mother said that when you were a little baby, she called you boo-boo. And we may speak to one of your teachers who called you rascal. Or you may have so many different nicknames. And those nicknames don't detract from your main name. And by your main name, we know who your father is. And because you're calling yourself not by your birth name that you got from your mother and father, but you're calling yourself the name that you got from your Guru Maharaj. He's your main father. And so all those other names are included in by saying Gaunitai Das. But I read them, I hear them, and they help me to understand something about you. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur there, for Kolina Kalpataru, he speaks also about different external names of the Lord, and how he's Karta, he's the controller, how he's Shrishti Karta, he creates the universe, he does things, how he's a Paramatma. And those things, we don't take shelter of those names, we take shelter of the primary names. He says there's primary and secondary names. We take shelter of the primary names. But the secondary names are also there. All those names are there to help support our one main name, which generally for Gaudiya Vaishnavas is Krishna, but it might be Shamasundar, especially if you live in New Brajadam. Or it might be Gopinath, or it might be Madan Mohan. There will be, at a certain point, a particular name will arise in our heart. And there is some utility for all those other names, but it's not that we have to sit down and try to figure out mathematically how they all merge into one or something. But in the same way that by knowing your mother, speaking to your childhood friends, speaking to your teacher, speaking to so many different people about you, I hear different names of you. Those different names don't make me confused. Rather, they help me to understand who you are. And when I call you by your primary name. Is that more clear now?
So you mean that the holy name, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is the primary name of the Supreme Person, the Absolute Truth.
Yeah. We just heard
all others just support that to have faith in that.
How is it the primary name? It's the primary name, first of all, because Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, the Bhagavatam itself describes it, that Krishna is the source of all different avatars. And it's the primary name also because it's given as the process. Krishna Vanam Tushar Krishnam Sango Pangasya Parshanam in the Bhagavatam itself. In the Agni Purana, the Hare Krishna mantra is given in the Skanda Purana and Brahmanda Purana, so many different places. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is given for the age of Kali. So it's primary in those two ways. Primary in the sense that Krishna is supreme, and primary in the sense that this is the mantra for Krishna in this age. And Bhaktivinoda explains in Krishna Samhita, there's different mantras for different ages. There's a mantra for Treta Yuga, mantra for Dwapara Yuga, mantra for Satya Yuga, and there's a mantra for Kali Yuga. And the mantra for Kali Yuga is the Hare Krishna mantra. And as we just commented, supported with so many different pramanas, so many different Puranas are describing, so many different literatures are describing that this Hare Krishna mantra is for this age. So this is the Krishna mantra. It is Krishna, but at the same time, it's a particular mantra. And Srila Prabhupada gives a very simple definition, translation of the mantra. O Krishna, please engage me in your service. O Krishna, O Hare, please engage me in your service. If you look at what Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jan Chandra Goswami explain about the Maha Mantra, what Srila Prabhupada said, it works with it. It's the same thing, only Srila Prabhupada spoke something a little easier to explain in public. Whereas Bhaktivinoda Thakur, my God, and one of his commentaries, he says the first word Hare means that Krishna's stealing Radharani's underwear. Hare means to take away. You don't go to the subway in New York and start telling people, yeah, we're singing this mantra about how God is taking some girl's underwear away. they can't understand that. But we can quote Srila Prabhupada, which is the same essence, because taking that underwear away, the person who's chanting this mantra, Bhaktivinoda says, in the mood of a manjari, is chanting this for the pleasure of Radha, as a service to Radha, asking for service or explaining how Radharani is doing service to please Krishna. And then there's this very esoteric meaning. Raghunath Das Goswami gives a very, very kind of erotic one, and so does Bhaktivinoda Thakur in one place. So Prabhupada gives the essence of that, which is, oh Krishna, oh energy of Krishna, please engage me in your service, which is kind of a simple public public appropriate translation.
So that means that this holy name in somehow, in a mystical way or esoteric way, contains me also.
Yeah.
Like my realization, my eternal relationship to that person, and in that person I am also present when I chant holy name, just I am not ignorant at the present moment.
It contains everything in the sense that just as Mother Yashoda looked into Krishna's mouth and she saw all the universes and she saw herself also. So that Krishna, he's come as a Mahamantra, and we're also present in that Mahamantra. And Gurudev is present there. We want to connect with Gurudev through that Mahamantra, in that Mahamantra. And that Mahamantra gives us everything. And therefore, Rupa Goswami, he says, Tan me sadhyan, sadhanam, jivanam cha. That it's my sadhya, it's the goal of my life. It's my sadhana, the process by which I'll attain it. It's my everything. This is Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And there's some different practices. Some Vaishnavas chant more the names of Nityananda or Mahaprabhu, or some of them practice Siddha Pranali. Many traditional Vaishnavas don't. Most of the Vaishnavas in rural Orissa, in the villages in Orissa and West Bengal, they don't have Siddha Pranali. And there's been some very exalted sadhu Vaishnavas there, just chanting the holy name. Some of the Babajis at Radhakund just chant Hare Krishna, and they don't have Siddha Pranali. There's different persons with different processes. This process we should have strong faith in. This is what our Goswamis gave us.
Yeah, sorry to take so much time.
No, that's good. Really good questions, Prabhu. It's always so sweet to have your Sangha. And we just lost Jai Gaur. He's going out to do Harinam. That's really ecstatic. Anybody else with any reflections or anything? Leela Purushottam, but would you want to add anything? Did I make any mistakes or anything you want to correct?
It was very blissful to hear Nam Tattva. And I was really happy for that passage where you explain the difference between Nam and mantra. The technical things like the dative case and vocative case, and then that's why we don't need for the Nam we don't really need that's what makes it dative actually, like Namaha or Swaha so I was happy for that to be more clear about the difference between the two. And yeah, I was thinking also, because this discussion is mainly about like the relationship or between Smaranam and Kirtanam. So it's always when this topic comes up, actually, sorry. Always what comes to my mind is this passage in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, where Sanatana Goswami, he makes it so clear. It's like, I believe it's third chapter of Gop Kumar's part, the second part, where Vaikuntavasis are speaking actually, and they're explaining what is the real relationship between the Kirtanam and Smaranam, and why Kirtanam is so much more powerful. And these are really things that convinced me, if I say so, because by my naughty nature, I would be inclined for more something that sounds more esoteric and more, this and that. But when I went through that passage and hearing such a strong argument, like you can really successfully do Smaranam only with completely purified chitta, otherwise it just doesn't work. And who of us sadhakas, poor sadhakas, can claim that our chitta is completely pure. I mean, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but for myself, I'm quite clear how is it with my consciousness, with my heart. And yeah, and then he explains how kirtanam actually engages the external senses of the tongue and the ear and the mind simultaneously, whether you like it or not. On the other hand, the smaranam, you really have to engage the mind like consciously. You have to, you have to endeavor to so that the mind is somehow engaged, or heart, or whatever word you want to use. But for the kirtanam, being it like something like, although transcendental, it's not like really tanmatra. You can't really say it's tanmatra in a sense. It's not material vibration, but still it's sound vibration, the holy name. And when you create the holy name, you use your tongue as the karmendriya, like the one sense. Then you use the ears as the jnanendriya, like again the sense. But what is the effect actually? That your mind is also engaged, whether you want it or endeavor for it or not, because all the tanmatras are processed from, they are received by the senses, but they are processed by the mind actually. So you engage your mind anyway, just by accepting this sound vibration that you pronounce it and that you hear it by the ears. And I was always so enthused about this explanation, because otherwise you would have to just, I have to think of Krishna. I have to think of Krishna. I don't know. I had a period that I really went that end road, I call it actually, and it's frustrating. It's just frustrating, and that's exactly what I can so much identify with Bhaktivinoda Thakur's. Is it Bhaktivinoda? I believe it was from
Bhajan-sadhana, Viparya Buddhi.
Bhajan-sadhana, yeah, Viparya Buddhi. Exactly. That's exactly what happens. And you're so completely confused. And what more, you're just more and more frustrated that you are always fall down from that imaginative platform of your smaranam. So it's definitely so much more worth it to give endeavor for proper endeavor for Nam Bhajan, for giving proper focus and proper, how would you say, endeavor? Yeah, maybe like to really give that energy to the Nam Bhajan instead of wasting it for something that we are not really qualified for. So I'm really looking for the next part also, because it's very nice, and hearing the glories of the holy name it gives a strength and conviction for my personal Nam Bhajan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I wanted to ask you sometime, not right now, but I had a nice exchange with Malati Mataji.
Oh yeah, I want to tell. She immediately wrote me like, "What did you tell him? You lied him. There's nothing good about me. Why did you lie him?"
Yeah, I pointed out, but I said, Jag, Leela Purushottam really appreciates you. You're the best. What's going on around? I was so happy hearing your comments. Okay, I think I should stop there unless somebody's burning up with something. We've got to get up early tomorrow morning, 3 o'clock, and I have some more chanting to do. Let's see, is it some comment? I've heard that when the temple in Mayapur will be finished, the golden age will start for 5,000 years. Now I'm not happy because of this. Is how will we share the Maha Mantra if people become more qualified and become more proud? Don't worry. I don't think they're all going to become more qualified. And as we'll speak about a little later, I want to explain probably 2 sessions from now about how the Trinadapi Sunichina verses are Siddha Pranali mantra. And that's not just a cute comment from Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, but it has a very beautiful, very deep, very Siddhantic purport to it. And it has to do with your question also there, your comment. Okay, anybody else burning up with anything? Otherwise, we'll go ahead and stop. Okay, thank you all so much, and we'll see you next week then. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ki, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo, Vancha Kalpatarubhishcha, Kripa Sindhu Bheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo.